Welcome back to my animal education series. Today I'm here with Mike at Wonders of Wildlife. Hello.
Good morning, Cole.
Good morning. So we're talking about an octopus today, or octopi, or whatever the plural is for that. We just tried to Google it and we could not figure it out. So, what kind of octopus do you have here?
Well, at Wonders of Wildlife, we have a giant Pacific octopus in one of our exhibits, and they are the largest species of octopus in the world.
So, how large is this octopus?
So, our animal is probably about 6.5 feet long at this point, and that's vertical length. When they spread their arms out to full expansion, they have almost a 14-foot diameter.
Wow. So, how big can they get?
So there have been some records that have shown giant Pacific octopus getting to be almost 16 feet in straight line length, meaning they could span almost a 30-foot diameter.
Wow. And how long do these octopi live?
So they don't have a very long lifespan to be such a large animal. Yeah. Really, maybe 3 to 4 years is really? An average lifespan of a giant Pacific octopus.
It's crazy. So they probably don't often reach that length too much since they don't live very long.
Yeah, really in that 9 to 10 foot length is probably a pretty average size.
So what do they eat in the wild?
So octopus will go after a variety of prey. They'll eat a lot of fish that they can catch. They'll eat crustaceans. They love to catch crabs and things like that. So they're pretty opportunistic. There's even been some documented cases of an octopus catching and eating sharks.
Really? And what kind of animals will try to eat them?
So a lot of things will try to eat an octopus. Pretty much any larger predator that could take bites out of the animal would eat it. Some marine mammals will eat octopus, and then of course a lot of people eat them.
It seems to be the kind of focal point of this whole visit. People are eating all these animals.
Yeah, people are often one of the biggest predators of most of them.
So I forgot to mention, or forgot to ask, where can you find this species of octopus?
Sure. So the giant Pacific octopus is found in the Pacific Ocean on the west coast of the U.S., up through the California coastline, Oregon, all through that area, across the ocean over to the coastlines of Japan. So they love that cold water, rocky environment, seaweeds. They are amazing at camouflage and hiding. They do great with that.
How do they do so well? Because chances are you've seen videos on the internet where they just kind of go up and they just instantly camouflage.
Sure.
They kind of like change the textures of the skin, like seem like corals and reefs and rocks. And it's insane how they do that. So how do they do that?
So the giant Pacific octopus you'll typically see is a reddish, pinkish color, pretty noticeable in different exhibits and out in the wild. But their skin is covered in a specialized cell called chromatophore. And they can, in the blink of an eye, rapidly cycle through different patterns, different colors, and they can even control their skin to add different textures. So sometimes they'll be very smooth, like you mentioned, if they're hanging out by a sponge or a coral, they can raise their skin so that it looks very rough and uneven, like the environment they're hiding within.
It's insane to me how they can do that, especially so fast. Because like, we all think about chameleons being like the masters of camouflage, but they take a couple seconds to like change their color, and it's not really perfect either. But this octopus is a much bigger creature, and it can do it way faster.
In the blink of an eye. And they'll change color for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's to hide, sometimes it may be to attract a mate, other times it may be to intimidate an animal that's going to prey upon them. So it's a fantastic tool that they use in a variety of different ways.
Another super unique thing about the octopus is its anatomy. So, like, I think I read somewhere it has like 9 brains and 3 hearts. So,
that's right.
Is that true?
Absolutely. So they have the 3 hearts. They have 2 hearts to control the circulation of blood throughout their arms. And then the 3rd heart controls circulation throughout the rest of their body. So the octopus has a mantle or a large bulbous head, and then those 8 arms. Now the brains, they have a central brain for the body, and essentially have an additional 8 brains for each arm to control. They have an amazing level of dexterity and control of those arms.
Because I don't believe like they have a solid like skeletal structure. So
that's right.
They kind of like can manipulate their body to do whatever.
Sure. So octopus are within the group of mollusks, and but you'll notice when you see them, they don't have that shell like other mollusks do. They actually have a very rudimentary shell that's left inside their mantle that really just serves as an anchor point for some tissues. The main structure of their body is actually their beak. They have a very sharp, incredibly powerful bird-like beak that they use for tearing chunks out of prey and eating. And in fact, they can squeeze through most any opening as long as the opening is larger than their beak. So they can fit their giant 10-foot body through openings that their beak can fit through.
I'm just trying to imagine like the record law on octopus. It's like 30 feet going through a hole like that.
It's remarkable.
It's just crazy because again they don't have like a solid skeletal structure, so they can just fit through anything.
Absolutely.
So does that present a sort of challenge when trying to keep it in an enclosure?
Yes, it does. Octopus are masters of escape. We have to be very, very mindful of the types of lids that we put on those exhibits. There are some materials that you can put around the top of an exhibit that an octopus can't grasp. Things like astroturf can be used on the above the waterline, and when they feel of that astroturf, they can't grip on it, and maybe they also don't like the way it feels, and so they're less likely to climb out. But most octopus exhibits will have a very secure lid over the top so that we can make sure that octopus doesn't end up somewhere where we don't want it to be.
Because you can't see it. I remember when I was younger, I would see stories of an octopus escaped from the zoo or escaped from a lab and they're just doing some experiment. Because they underestimate how smart these animals are and they just can't escape.
Yeah, they are incredibly intelligent. They can solve puzzles. They're amazing animals. They can take the lids off of jars to pull food items out. They can use their arms to snake through maze-like puzzles to find food items. And so we work very hard to enrich our octopus. We have different targets and different textured items that we give the animal to feel that may have food hidden into it. And we want to make sure that we're engaging it and stimulating it mentally because it is so intelligent.
Is it difficult to provide enrichment for an octopus?
Not really. It's actually a lot of fun. Our team comes up with interesting items to challenge it. They also are very tactile. And so we'll go down and when feeding the octopus, they'll fill your hands. And what they're doing is they're really tasting you. So the giant Pacific octopus has over 2,000 suction cups along their arms.
Wow.
And each of those individual suction cups has more taste receptors than the human tongue. So over 2,000 times they're exploring their environment and sensing and tasting what's around them to decide if it's a food item or not. And so part of that enrichment is the tactile and the touching and tug of war sometimes with the octopus.
So do you guys give like toys meant for like younger kids, like kind of like put the different shaped blocks through the holes?
Sometimes. Not so much blocks through holes, but smaller toys for children. Also a lot of animal toys. Like one of their favorite ones here, our GPO is a female named Athena, and she has a hamster ball that has the removable smaller openings that we thread on, and we'll put food in it, and she loves to manipulate it and feel of it and play with it until she can take it apart and then reach in and pull the food out.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So I think I have a guess on this answer, but what is your favorite thing about the octopus?
Just their remarkable ability to camouflage and change in such a rapid state. I think there are lots of really interesting things about them, though. They're the one way you can tell the difference between the male and the female octopus, at least the giant Pacific octopus in particular. The male will have one arm that has a very smooth last several inches without any suction cups. And there's a groove in that arm. So that arm is called a hectocotylus. And the male uses that specialized arm to pass a sperm bundle or a sperm packet to the female, which she can store in her mantle until she is ready to find a den where she will fertilize her eggs and live out the rest of her days there. They actually mate, and then the male and female after mating have a pretty short lifespan. They die, it's hard, there's not a set timeline, but they die fairly shortly after they mate.
Because I imagine it probably takes them a while to reach sexual maturity, maybe like a couple of months or a year, and then finding like a proper mate and they only live like 3 or 4 years, and they just die.
Right. So it's a fairly short time frame for some amazing stuff to happen.
It's incredible because their anatomy is super unique. Just how they're structured is super unique. They're super smart. They're super cool animals. They live like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
It's
amazing. The other thing that's pretty awesome about them is they use a form of jet propulsion. So they oftentimes will crawl around their environment up and over rocky areas and actually, climb with those 8 arms. But if they want to move in a hurry, they have a siphon that comes out of their, is coming out of the mantle, where they can expand and take water into the mantle and then force it through that smaller siphon and actually jet propulse away from an area or a prey, or a predator rather. They also have the ability to release a cloud of ink. They have a specialized ink sac as an organ that when they are threatened or startled, they can release a cloud of ink to give them that chance to escape from something that's coming after them.
like, that's what I'm saying. Like these octopuses, whatever the plural version of it is. Like, they're super cool and they only live that long. Once they evolve and figure out that lifespan issue, that'd be super cool to have them like long-term in zoos and other aquariums.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about the octopi, octopuses, whatever it is. And thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode. Don't forget to leave a big thumbs up down below, subscribe to my channel, and also check out my Instagram @ColeShuri. As always, I'll see you next week.